Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Despia Darklord deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one, guys, because we're actually going to be doing a giveaway in this particular video for one of these amazing Despia playmats, courtesy of Apollo's Dueling Dojo. So if you guys would like to see the official rules to actually enter to win to get this awesome playmat, you can actually check the description down below. But pretty much what you have to do is like this video, comment down below what your favorite version of Despia is between Darklords, Dogmatica, Pure, or something that you've come up with personally for your favorite version, and be subscribed to the DarkArmedDuelist channel, which is totally an honor-based system, and I'm really excited to actually do this one for you guys because I always love giving back to the community. If you guys want to as well, you can check out Apollo's Dueling Dojo down in the description below and use code DAD15 to check out all of their awesome playmats and field centers that they actually have on their Izzy store, which is just absolutely awesome. I love their playmats, and I'm really excited to do a giveaway for another one of these mats because they are really, really nice. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like in your name description every single video, getting a signed card to the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this, guys. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Jester of Despia. This card is a really good card and a necessity to play as a 3 of in this deck. If this card is normal or special summon, you get to add a branded spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is a very important effect for this deck to be able to grab your copy of Theater. And if a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed by battle or leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, while this card's in your graveyard, you can target an effect monster your opponent controls, special summon this card, and if you do, negate that target's effect until the end phase of the turn, which is an extremely powerful effect. We then play 3 copies of Dramaturge. Dramaturge is a very powerful monster, and I love this card in this deck. It helps me out with rank 8 plays, but it's a really powerful fusion material because if a fusion, synchro, XZ, or link monster is special summoned, then you can target 1 effect monster on the field, negate its effects until the end phase of the turn. And if this card is in your hand or field, is used as a fusion material, is sent to the graveyard, or banished, then you can special summon this card back to your side of the field, which is just insane that you're going to get a free 3,000 attack point monster on your side of the field. I then play 2 copies of Tragedy as well. Tragedy is actually really good in this particular deck because it has the ability, if this card is sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect, then you get to add 1 Despia monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of itself. You can also banish this card from the graveyard, then target a branded spell or trap in the graveyard and set that target to the field, which you have plenty of targets in this deck to actually set those cards to your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of my personal favorite Darklord, and it's actually 3 copies of Darklord Ashell. She's a really awesome card that has the ability that you can discard her and another Darklord to draw 2 cards, and she also has the ability that during either player's turn you can pay 1,000 life points to target a Darklord spell or trap card in your graveyard, apply the target's effect, and then shuffle that target into the deck. So basically you pay 1,000 life points and you copy the effect of the spell or trap that you shuffle back into the deck, which is a very powerful effect. We then play 3 copies of Darklord Superbia. I still love 3 copies of Darklord Superbia in my build. You can cut this down to 2 if there's another card that you want to play, but I like playing it at 3 because it's just such a powerful effect to be able to win it special summon from the graveyard, target a fairy monster in your graveyard, except another copy itself, and special summon it back to your side of the field because all of your Despia monsters are fairies. You can actually revive any of those cards, which is really, really powerful. For the one of Darklords, I'm playing a single copy of Zerato. Zerato helps out a lot because he can board wipe like a Regeki, which is really cool. You usually are going to special summon him back with your Superbia, but he has the ability, if you have 4 more dark monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can tribute summon this card by tributing a dark monster, and then you can send a dark monster in your hand to the graveyard to destroy all monsters your opponent controls, which is a really awesome effect. The only downside of this card is he destroys himself during the end phase. Play a single copy of Darklord Morningstar. Morningstar is very, very pivotal to this deck because you're going to be using him as fusion material all the time for the first Darklord, so you can get the maximum potential out of your first Darklord, which is very, very important. I play a single copy of Darklord Naston. Darklord Naston comes up every so often, but you're usually playing the level 8 ones and the level 10 ones a little bit more. But what this card does is you send 2 Darklord cards from your hand to the graveyard to special summon them. to your side of the field. And he also has the ability that he can copy the spells and traps from the graveyard by paying 1,000 and shuffling them back into the deck, which is a really powerful effect just for recursion. We play 3 copies of the Indulged Darklord, which is a really powerful normal summon in this deck. That if she is normal summoned or special summoned, you get to take 2 Darklord monsters from your hand or deck with different levels except another copy of yourself. Special summon one of them to your opponent's field and add the other to your hand, which is really good because you can just normal summon her out to your side of the field, add Morningstar to your hand, and give your opponent a copy of Ukobak, because Ukobak is really not going to do all that much for your opponent, but it's a really good card to be able to just give your opponent. What this card does is if it's normal or special summon, you could send a Darklord card from your deck to the graveyard, but if you give your opponent it, it's not going to do anything at all. I then play a single copy of Archlord Christia, rounding out the monsters, because if you have exactly 4 fairy type monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if special summon this way, you get to target a fairy monster in the graveyard and add that target to your hand, and neither player can special summon monsters while this card's on the field, and if this card would be sent to the field to the graveyard, you can place it on top of your deck instead, which is just really good to be able to put this card back on the top of your deck. But it works out really well with this deck to help you make some really good plays and just shut down your opponent. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, I'm playing 2 copies of Theater. Theater is basically a fusion spell. This card is really, really powerful. It lets you, during the main phase, you get to fusion summon a level 8 or higher fusion monster from your X deck using monsters from your hand, field, or hand or field as fusion materials. And if a face-up non-fusion fairy monster is destroyed by battle, then you get to target a level 8 or higher fusion monster in your graveyard and special summon it back, which is an insanely powerful effect. I really love this card, and it's one of the big reasons I actually picked this deck up, because it makes it so easy to go into your copy of the first Darklord. We then play 3 copies of Branded Opening. Branded Opening helps out a lot because it lets you discard a card and then you take a Despia monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it in defense position. And also for the rest of the turn, except the turn this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the X deck except for fusion monsters, which is not that big of a deal because it's a quick play. You can set it, and it's not that big of a deal either because it's just a really good card that you're basically going to be going to fusion plays the majority of the time anyways. But it's a really good card to be able to add your copy of your Dramaturge or your copy of your Jester from your deck to your hand. It also has the ability that if a fusion monster you control would be destroyed by a card effect, then you can banish this card from your graveyard instead, which is pretty good to protect your fusion monsters. We then play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Polymerization helps out the deck a lot because your Indulged Darklord is going to give your opponent monsters, so you can actually use this card really, really easily to go into the first Darklord really fast in this particular deck, and it's just an overall fantastic card to play in here because it outs so many different plays against your opponent. I then play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness because the majority of the deck is dark, so being able to use this card to draw to is just really, really good, and it helps out the deck a lot. You just banish a dark monster from your hand once you draw 2 cards because everything is dark except for Christia, so it helps out a lot in this particular deck. We then play 3 copies of Banishment of the Darklords. Banishment of the Darklords lets you add a Darklord card from your deck to your hand, which can be any of your Darklord monsters. It can be any of your Darklord spells or traps, but this card is really handy in this particular deck to be able to grab any of those cards, and being able to shuffle it back into the deck at the cost of 1,000 with a shell is just really, really good. We then play 3 copies of Darklord Contact, which is essentially a monster reborn. It lets you special summon a Darklord monster from your graveyard in defense position. You can activate this card's effect once per turn. I really like this card at 3 in my build because you're going to be going through your copies of a shell and your copies of your other Darklord monsters very fast. So this card can help you get into some really good link plays. And so I really like playing this card as a 3 of in the deck. The only thing that I did consider was dropping it down to 2 because it's searchable and playing a single copy of Monster Reborn in place of one of them, because the Monster Reborn could also revive cards from my opponent's graveyard or revive stuff that's not Darklord. So that is a thought for you guys as well. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're playing a single copy of Darklord Rebellion and a single copy of the Sanctified Darklord. These are 2 very powerful trap cards in the deck. Basically, the Darklord Rebellion has the ability that you get to send 1 Darklord monster from your hand or face your field to the graveyard and destroy a card on the field. But if you use your copy of a Shell or Nazton to be able to shuffle this card back in the deck, you don't actually have to send a Darklord monster from your hand or field to the graveyard to activate this effect, because it just applies the effect, not the cost. We then play the single copy of the Sanctified Darklord, which is basically a negation because it has the ability that you can send a Darklord monster from your hand or face from your field to the graveyard, and then negate the effect of one effect monster on the field, which is really good to just be able to negate the effect of effect monster on the field, and being able to just shuffle this card back into the deck is really, really good with your copies of Yugioh and Naston. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of the first Darklord. You're going to be summoning this card all the time. I almost played this card at 2 in this build, but it's just a 1-of to me right now. There is room to put a second one in here if you want to, but I currently am just playing 1 because I usually go into 1 and then win. But what this card does is it takes 3 Dark Fairy monsters to summon it, which this deck can easily give you 3 Dark Fairies. But what you really want to do is use your copy of Morningstar to actually go into this card because it gains bonus effects. But what it does is it cannot be, your opponent cannot target fairy monsters you control with effects at all, and then you can only use the following effects this card once per turn. If this card is fusion summoned using a Darklord Morningstar as a material, then you can destroy all cards your opponent controls, which is extremely powerful to just completely board wipe your opponent. And then during the main phase quick effect, you can pay 1,000 life points to special summon a fairy monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position, which can help you go into some link plays, it can help you go into some XZ plays, and it can help you get out some really powerful monsters on your side of the field. We then play a single copy of the big Despia fusion monster. This card is really, really good. It's usually a super poly target, I will say, because you don't play but 1 light monster in the entire deck. So I just play it as a 1-of in here, but what it does is it's really good. It takes 1 Despia monster plus a light monster and a dark monster to fusion summon in this card, and then during the main phase quick effect, you can target a fusion, synchro, XZ, or link monster in your opponent's graveyard and banish it or special summon it to your field. And then when this card is destroyed by, or when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, then you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack or defense, whichever is higher, and you only effect this card once per turn. I just play this card, like I said, as a 1-of because sometimes you'll use it with Dramaturge, and then your opponent will have a light and a dark on the field, and then you'll be able to just super poly away the monsters, and then your Dramaturge will come right back on the field, so I play it as a 1-of. We then played 2 copies of the other Despia fusion monster. This card's really good. It's easier to summon out because it just takes a light or a dark plus a Despia monster. It has the ability to, during the main phase quick effect, you can change all the attack of all monsters currently on the field to 0 until the end phase of the turn, except level 8 or higher fusion monsters. And if this face-up card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, then you can add to your hand or special summon 1 Fallen of Albaz or Despia monster from your deck to your side of the field, which is really, really good, because being able to special summon out a copy of Dramaturge from the deck is just really, really good. We then play a single copy of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon because it's a really good super poly target as a 1-of in here. Play a single copy of Mud Dragon as well because it's a really good super poly target. And then for the XZ's monsters, I'm playing a single copy of number 35 because this card can go in, you can go into this card really easily, and it will get your monsters to be humongous in this deck because the difference between your life points and your opponent's life points, your monsters gain as attack points, which is really powerful. Play a single copy of number 97 because number 97 is just ridiculously powerful because it's going to let you special summon out a 9,000 attack point monster. Play a single copy of number 38 because it will negate spells and traps, and plus you use this card as a material with number 97 to summon out your copy of number 100, because basically you'll use the effect of number 97, special summon both of these to the field, and then use the copy of number 38 to summon the copy of number 100 like this as an XZ play, and then you can detach a material and it will gain attack equal to the ranks of all monsters currently on the field, which is really powerful, especially if you use this to reduce the monster's attacks down to 0. It can essentially give you a 1 card, or these 2 will turn into an OTK, which is really good, just to be able to give you that really powerful play. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is really good because she will basically negate monster effects. You usually will end on a copy of Appaloosa and the first Darklord is what I found in my plays, and maybe a number 38 or a copy of number 100 to OTK your opponent, which is really, really good. 1 copy of BLS. BLS is really easy to summon in this deck because everything is a level like 7 or higher that you're going to be summoning to your side of the field. So this card is extremely powerful. When it destroys a monster by battle, it has the ability to either gain 1500 attack, it can make a second attack, or it banishes a card on the field that it doesn't target, which is really good. And if you use a level 7 or higher monster to summon this card, then it also gains the effect that it cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects or targeted with card effects either by your opponent, which is pretty powerful. 1 copy of the Condemned Darklord. Condemned Darklord helps out a lot in the deck. I just play her as a 1-of now She has the ability to tribute summon fairy monsters that require 2 tributes. You can banish monsters from your graveyard instead, which is pretty good. But her really good effect is that you can discard 1 card to take a Dark Lord monster in your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. You can only use the effect for once per turn, and then once per turn during the end phase, you gain 500 life points for each fairy monster you currently have on the field. So sometimes you will need that extra life gain, so this card will help out a lot with that. Play a single copy of Cross Sheep because it is a fusion based deck, so this card helps out a lot to get certain cards out of your graveyard that are level 4 and lowers, like your copies of your Jesters and stuff like that to help you link climb. And then play a single copy of Verte, because Verte helps out a lot with your copies of your Super Polymerizations to go into additional plays. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you do enjoy it. It's a really awesome deck. And again, if you guys would like to enter to win, all those official rules are down in the description for you guys to check out. All you have to do is like the video, comment down below your favorite version, whether it be like Shadow, Pure, Darklord, whatever version of Despia or Despia that you like the most. I personally like the Darklord version, as you guys can probably tell, because I love Darklords. Be subscribed to the channel, and if you guys would like to check out Apollo's Dueling Dojo, it is down in the comments down below for their Etsy store. And again, you guys can use code DAD15 to actually get 15% off your order, which is really awesome that Apollo's Dueling Dojo is doing this. And I have to say, guys, I really love doing these giveaways because it's just really awesome to be able to give back to the community and give back to you guys for all the time you guys put into the channel and watching the videos. It means a lot to me to be able to do stuff like this for you guys, and it's really meaningful that Apollo's Dueling Dojo has kind of helped me out with this, being able to give stuff back to you guys for all the time that you guys put in to watch these videos. So thank you so much for everybody who watches my videos. It means a lot to me. I love doing these for you guys, and I love doing these giveaways for you guys as well. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, and make sure to enter to win down in the comments down below and read the official rules, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.